Welcome back to the Cyber Resilience Brief, a SafeBreach podcast. This is episode 4 of our series on Russian intelligence. Now, if you haven't listened to our previous 3 episodes, this is a great time to just go back and have a quick listen. Like all of our episodes, they are not long, and then go ahead and meet us back here. Now, until now, we've met the actors on both sides of the ocean. Now we have to talk about that bridge between them. The proxy bridge, as our research calls it. Adrian, what is this proxy bridge that we've named the high confidence indirect nexus?
That's a great question, Tova, and again, welcome to all of our listeners. It's the BlackCat ALPHV ransomware-as-a-service platform. This is the operational linkage.
BlackCat, not to be confused with Black Hat, which is a cybersecurity event we hope to see you at this year. Why is this specific ransomware group the link between them?
So, Tova, it starts with Scattered Spider's operational dependency. They're specialists in getting in, but to get paid, they need encryption. They utilise BlackCat for the massive extortion campaigns.
Okay, so Scattered Spider uses Black Hat software. That makes sense. But who's behind BlackCat?
Again, that's to the heart of the problem. Again, a great question. What's the provenance of BlackCat ransomware? BlackCat is a highly sophisticated ransomware-as-a-service variant using the Rust programming language. Its administrators have strong ties to established Russian-speaking cybercrime groups like Black Matter, Darkside, and R-Evil.
Darkside, that's the same group that hit the Colonial Pipeline?
The very same group. And because ALPHV operates within this entrenched Russian language criminal sphere, they're subject to the rules of the environment. They're tolerated by the Russian authorities, provided they don't attack the Commonwealth of Independent States, or CIS.
Just for a little bit of context, what is the Commonwealth of Independent States?
So it's basically with the exception of those that have joined Europe, it's the countries that were formerly part of the Soviet Union, that broke apart. So you've got the intelligence services belong to Russia, but the CIS countries, including many of the Stans, places like Belarusia, for example, these all constitute the Commonwealth of Independent States. They're broadly loyal to Moscow and Russia.
That makes sense. Okay, thanks for that background. So it's that tolerance and in some ways those shared historical values that establishes the link to the FSB.
It does. Intelligence analysts regularly contemplate the FSB co-option model. There are 3 ways that the FSB leverages a group like BlackCat. 1, tacit permission, that you let the criminals make money in exchange for cooperation. 2, embedded monitoring. FSB officers might be embedded within these groups to monitor activity. And 3, purchasing access. The state can simply buy the compromised access or the tools from the operators. And there's strong intelligence that the FSB is operating on all 3 levels with BlackCat.
Wow, okay. So effectively, when Scattered Spider uploads data that they steal to the BlackCat dashboard, then what happens?
So it effectively creates an intelligence pipeline, Tova. The data flows from the targets, wherever they be, in the US, the UK, Israel, Europe, directly to a sphere plausibly monitored by the FSB, Russian Domestic Intelligence Service.
Okay, so that's the FSB dashboard. It's their menu. It's their operating room.
Exactly. Imagine the FSB is looking for intel on US aviation, for example. They don't need to hack Qantas or Delta or any other airline. They just look at the BlackCat dashboard and see that Scattered Spider has already uploaded the network maps and credentials.
And in intelligence circles, they often refer to this as the geopolitical shield, as I understand it.
It is referred to as that, Tova. It's because the attack looks like a crime. It looks like ransomware. It doesn't look like espionage. Remember our earlier episode digging deep into Scattered Spider, Shiny Hunter, Scattered Shiny, Lapsus Hunters. These folks don't break in, they log in.
Okay. I understand intelligence analysts also consider something called a convergence model.
This is a way of describing the strategic risk, Tova. Russian state interests benefit from Western hackers' specialised skills. Russian advanced persistent threats may struggle to replicate the cultural fluency needed to socially engineer a US help desk, but the Western kids who have the fluency and can speak the cultural language needed to wrestle that information from their elders can.
Right. In this way, Russians get the benefits of Western culture without having to understand it.
Correct, and they get plausible deniability, another common phrase. Public attribution falls to BlackCat or scattered spider. It obfuscates any attempt to link it to the Kremlin.
So in other words, it's sophisticated outsourcing in terms of cyber capabilities.
It is, and for us at SafeBreach, it emphasises why we need to simulate the tools as well as the actors, simulate the behaviour. We need to be able to simulate BlackCat's Rust-based binary behaviour inside of our customers' networks, because even if the attacker is a teenager, the weapon they are holding is a military-grade Russian ransomware. And it's for that reason we have very detailed ALPHV and BlackCat ransomware scenarios and playbooks in our platform, which we obviously strongly encourage all of our customers and partners to be using.
This leads us to the strategic implications. If this is working, it's not going to stop.
That's right, Tova. In episode 5, we'll discuss how this escalates from financial crime to state espionage. And it can be very difficult, if almost impossible, to differentiate as to which are you dealing with, which are you experiencing. And when it comes to Russia and China, you're very often experiencing all of these things at the same time.
And we'll be right back.
All right, so let's talk about the strategic implications and the risk posture here. Adrian, what happens when financial crime meets state espionage?
So what you get, Tova, is an escalation of access. The success of Scattered Spider that they've had in breaching cloud platforms and critical service providers translates directly into highly valuable strategic access for state actors.
Okay, well, what kind of access specifically?
So the report lists, pause for me. Our research shows things like credentials, VPN access, and comprehensive network maps.
What happens when that falls into fair hands?
Well, it's the holy grail for them, Tova. They seek long-term persistence off the GRU. It allows for pre-positioning for future disruptive attacks.
So in other words, we're talking about real strategic planning in advance for future hacking. And that way, instead of having to break in during a time of war, they're already inside because a criminal let them in 2 years ago and they've had time to set everything up.
Exactly. And the operational cost of this to the intelligence agencies, minimal. The operational structure mitigates the cost and risk for the Russian state. They don't have to expend valuable bespoke capabilities like zero-day exploits.
They save their best weapons for later because they could use the cheap stuff now.
Right. The efficiency of this model, purchasing or monitoring access rather than painstakingly obtaining it, is a significant strategic advantage.
So I guess you could call this a hybrid threat model. What does that mean in practice for a defender?
It means you're defending against a chimera. What do we mean by that? Well, you face an entity that couples the low-friction, high-yield social engineering expertise of Western groups with the highly destructive and sophisticated encryption tools of the Russian sphere.
That seems like a 1-2 punch.
It is, and it's a very fragile thing. Scale of financial crime, though, validates this strategy. Scattered Spider is blamed currently for extorting over 115 million.
Wow. That is 115 million motivations to carry out those crimes. That makes sense.
It guarantees, you asked before when will it stop, it guarantees that these operations are going to continue. It provides a stable, self-funded and continuously high-value intelligence stream available for co-option. The Russians don't even have to fund it, the victims fund it. It's all the more reason why you should never pay ransomware and do not entertain anybody, even if your insurance company recommends them, that claims they're a ransomware negotiator. If you pay ransomware, you're funding terrorism, intelligence work, and organised crime.
Yikes. You have to also wonder what's going to happen with the next generation with these kids. Even if these kids don't care about politics now, the result is political, and we don't know what the implications are down the line.
Exactly, Tova. That this chaos aligns incidentally with Russia's goals. Attacks on Western critical national infrastructure, CNI, erode public trust and damage economic rivals. Blaise Metroelli, the new chief of the Secret Intelligence Service in the UK, MI6, more commonly referred to, gave the first ever press conference at the MI6 headquarters last night. We were given a little bit of advance notice about this and did share with some people what was about to be said. Many of you will know the MI6 building from several of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, but it's a highly security controlled building and it's very unusual for a press conference to be given inside. Blaise Metroelli was placing the Five Eyes community, democracies in the Western world, on notice that we are already at hybrid shadow war with Russia And a significant part of that activity is cyber espionage, cyber disruption, cyber sabotage.
Right, and ultimately, whether it's a spy or a criminal, the destabilization is the same.
Yes, it is, Tova, and it compounds the challenge of counter-attribution. When the attack chain involves actors from geographically opposed regions, US teenagers and Russian infrastructure, for example, it introduces ambiguity, which is, for a spy, that's their comfort zone.
Yeah, confusion is where crimes happen. You can't commit crimes in the light.
And as you are well aware, Tova, and our listeners, attribution in things cyber, whether criminal or state-sponsored espionage, is not for the faint-hearted. These ambiguous positions delay definitive state-level attribution. By the time the government figures out who did it, the damage is done and the data is already in Moscow.
Whew, we're painting a grim picture here, Adrian. I mean, we're talking about a self-funding, deniable hybrid threat that uses our own teenagers against us. Like, we don't have enough problem.
It is, and again, the Russian intelligence services have a phrase, "plausible in Russian, useful fool." Very often these teenagers, they're not exclusively teenagers, by the way, they can be older, but they don't even fully understand the implications of what they're doing and how they're being used and abused and will be discarded. I need to stress that. These agencies, if you're being sucked into this, anybody listening, these agencies do not care about you. They have no loyalty to you. They will sacrifice you in a heartbeat. However, we aren't helpless. There is specific mitigation recommendations, and that's where SafeBreach comes in. We don't just say, hey, isn't this clever? Aren't these hackers doing a great job? Aren't they impressive? No. We unpick what they do, we learn what they do, we reverse the adversary advantage, and we simulate their actions to stop it.
And that's just the kind of proactive energy we need. Adrian, in our final episode, we're going to break down the SafeBreach defense. How do BAS, CART, and AAV actually stop this hybrid monster, and what can you do to be a part of that process? Join us next time for the conclusion.
Thank you, Tova.
Thanks, Adrian, and until next time, stay safe with SafeBreach.
The Cyber Resilience Brief is a SafeBreach podcast. Executive produced by Adrian Culley and Tova Dvorin. Music produced by Sar Dresner. Hosted, edited, and compiled on Riverside. For more about SafeBreach and how you can validate your security controls across your entire IT infrastructure, visit us at www.safebreach.com. That's www.safebeach.com.